Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you with another video. All right, so happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving thus far. If you're cooking or hosting everybody, don't forget to eat. You know, a lot of times the cook is the last one to sit down, is the last one to get a meal. Make sure if you're cooking, make sure you get a meal. And if someone else is cooking for you, make sure they sit down and rest, because I know they've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning in a lot of cases. But yeah, man, you know, this of course is just a reaction to the Lakers winning the game last night against the Spurs, and I'm extremely happy that we went into this Thanksgiving season with a victory on our hands, because Lord knows the Lakers really embarrassed and demoralized us with the 3 losses prior to that game. But out of nowhere, they just had their best all-around team performance, and usually we're a heavy team in regards to our stars carrying us to victory, and maybe we'll get some things chipped in, but majority of our players don't show up together at the same time, and we had that last night. I think we only used about 9 people, and 7 of them were in double figures, contributed in different areas as well. And so it was just great to see, man. I don't think this gets us all the way out of the woods per se, especially since we have a very tough OKC game ahead tomorrow, which has a lot of implications in regards to our ability to advance in the Cup Series, for which we are defending champions. So the last thing we want to do is not even be in the preliminaries, knockout rounds after winning that. So yeah, we got to beat OKC tomorrow, and I don't think that's going to be an easy task. Of course, OKC is missing Chet Holmgren, who's going to be out for a couple of months with a broken hip. He will be back before the end of the season, but I'm not sure how soon for him to come back and help his team. But through the regular season, they have so much depth, so many players that are two-way. It's ridiculous how talented their team actually is at this point. And so they really do have a team that can really hurt us, but we also understand that we have a top-heavy superstar tandem that is going to be difficult for them, very difficult for them to deal with. Of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a superstar that we're going to have a difficulty dealing with, and I think J-Dub is turning into one right before our very eyes. Baby Magic Johnson is what I coined him when I first did homework on him before the draft, and he has not disappointed at all. In fact, he has exceeded all expectations, and I was pretty damn high on him in the draft. So we got to pay attention to the OKC Thunder, man. Guys like Kason Wallace, Usman Dang, and Isaiah Hartenstein, and AC. I mean, they got a lot of talent over there, man. So we just got to bring our best basketball, and if everybody plays the way that they did against San Antonio, I like our chances at upsetting them here at home. So that's really what it comes down to. We need a big game from Anthony Davis. The scoring has not been there since the missed free throws against the Orlando Magic. He really has been kind of hovering under 20 points, which is strange for him. But in the context of how things went with last night's particular game, I thought it was within the flow of the basketball game. Everybody getting in double figures just meant that there were less shots for him to take. And of course, if you look at his assists, he had 7 of those. And I don't know if that's a season high, but I don't recall him having too many high assist games this season. Last year, I said that I felt that he had improved dramatically in his playmaking and his assist ability. And it's good to see that aspect of his game continue this season. I think it will help him in his MVP chances if he can up his assists quite a bit while maintaining his rebounding, scoring, and defensive statistics. We shot 100% from the free throw line yesterday, although it was in a small sample size of only 10 free throws. Tell me how we had 10 free throws against the Spurs last night with all that physicality. I do not know. But we hit all of them, and we got the win, and we're very pleased about how that performance went down, because we had been rather bad at the free throw line as a team in the losses. Rather bad. So that's a real thing. Definitely see us continuing on the success of taking that more seriously with that 3 stretch of games that were really embarrassing in that way. Max Christie, just very pleased with what I saw from him. I don't know if he's going to start stepping into a consistent space. I doubt it, but I do like that we saw him gain some confidence on the offensive end. Defensively, he's there, but the minutes is what ultimately will determine his offensive talent, I think, will ultimately determine how many minutes he gets. If he's able to display that talent in a very good way, I'm pretty sure coach is going to start incorporating him into more lineups. I was also pleased with the reduction on Cardi G's minutes. I don't know how many times we see him run around and do nothing for 18 minutes, but it was good to see us dwindle his minutes down to about 6 minutes last night, I believe it was said. That's what it needs to be, or less, to be honest with you. Phasing him all the way out of the equation at this point is fine. I think he should be a part of the assistant coaching staff at this point. I really do. I don't need him suiting up any more than I need Nate McMillan suiting up, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I'm pretty sure Nate will probably give us the same production. So, yeah, that's what it really comes down to for me. I'm not one of those guys that says, oh my God, we paid him all this money. It's almost trade time. Let's continue to throw 18 minutes at him and hope he raises his trade value. He's not going to raise his trade value. He's not. He's going to dwindle it. And that's what we've been arguing on this channel. So, I think we're stuck with that contract. I don't think anybody's going to take it from us. So there's no reason to try to continue to run him out there in hopes that he'll raise his trade value. I don't think so. I think that's a lost cause. It's an L, and we just got to sit on it unless we can pull a rabbit out of the hat and make somebody take it from us in some type of trade. So that's really what I think there. From what I understand, the Lakers are highly active in the trade negotiations in the market, although I think my perception of that process is that all GMs are on the phone all the time. So what does that actually mean? Who knows, right? But from what I understand, we're trying to get things done. And, when you hear of so many rumors of a certain piece coming to the Lakers, like, for example, Buddy Hield and Miles Turner didn't necessarily happen. Sometimes it's pieces that you don't expect, that you haven't heard anything about, that ultimately be the trigger. The thing that pulls the trigger is usually a trade that you haven't heard much about, that teams have been working on for months at a time. And of course, on this channel, we've argued that we don't think many trades are going to be made because of the collective bargaining agreement and things like that. But given the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers are a team that really needs to make something happen in order to improve their chances of maximizing their situation, I think if anybody's likely to try to pull a rabbit out of a hat and make some type of impossibly complicated trade, it'd probably be us. We should probably be looking to do something like the Knicks did, man, somehow. My wonder is that if the Lakers are willing to, and this is not something I'm willing to do, it's not something I think we should do. In fact, it's something I don't want to do. But as I assess what the options are for our GM and how many restrictions are in place in regards to what he can move on our roster versus what he is probably being asked not to touch in regards to trade, I'm wondering if he's actually going to trade some pieces that we don't want to see gone. That's what I will say. When you start looking at your options, you start looking at what the returns could be if you incorporate some things that people actually would want. You maybe think you can upgrade, even though you're losing something you definitely don't want to lose. If the return is positive enough, maybe you think you're bringing back something better and you'll be willing to get rid of something you don't want to get rid of. That's what I'm wondering. Because there are going to be situations where he's going to likely be going back and forth in negotiations. Salary matches are so intensely important under this collective bargaining agreement. And some of the salary that we have is just not any good. So people are going to want first round picks, and I know we're going to be conservative with those. So is he going to throw in like a Quincy Olivari in a trade? I don't want us to trade Quincy Olivari. I also understand that the Lakers are not using Quincy Olivari. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a real thing. So it's like, I wonder if he's looking at Quincy's piece and saying, since we're not using him anyway and the whole world wants him anyway, would we really miss him if we throw him into a trade to get, say, Cam Johnson or something like that, if he keeps me from giving up a first-round pick? Like, not to say that he's worth a full first-round pick, but like as the process of trying to put stuff together and they demand Quincy Olivari, will he cave? That kind of thing. I really think one of the Lakers' best players is Quincy Olivari, and he happens to be sitting around the G League doing great things down there, clearly displaying each and every night that he shouldn't be down there. And we're not the only people paying attention to that. The whole league is paying attention to that. The whole league is realizing the Lakers are going to continue to do this Gabe Vincent thing, this Bronny James thing. And so it's like, what are you doing with the piece is what I would be asking if I were opposing GMs. If I'm the Utah Jazz, what are you doing with the piece? And if you're not going to use them, send them to us. If you want Walker Kessler and you refuse to give us picks. If I'm the Nets, send them to us. Because I'm telling you that the whole Jalen Hood-Schifino thing, Jalen is a player that people would be wise to try to take from us right now, while people don't know that he has any value, while people think he absolutely stinks. It's the same thing I aligned with the idea of, if you're going to trade for Zach LaVine, you probably want to trade for him before he gets back on the court, while everybody thinks he's, broken, and all of that. Because once you see him play like this, suddenly the price tag goes up. And now it's not as feasible to get maybe two first-round picks from the Bulls to get him off of their hands. That's kind of what Jalen Hood-Schifino is. But for the time being, I think that the thought is he's not worth anything and probably won't turn into nothing. If we start showcasing him to be a little better, maybe we could raise his trade value. But the Lakers don't seem to really be in a space where they're going to do that. So as far as I could tell, most GMs, while I think they would be wise for taking on Jalen, I don't think they really trust Jalen because they obviously ain't seen him play good. So as far as us thinking that we can throw him in as a replacement for some type of first-round pick or pick equity, I just don't know that he's going to make up enough value for us at this point to make people say, okay, yeah, that's a good throw in, a young piece, let's make a move. I don't think so. As frivolous as we've placed him up for trade, as valueless as we ultimately have used him to be, why would I let that move the needle if I'm going to send you something you want? Yeah, I want him, and maybe I think I can turn him into something, but that his value is so low is a real thing. So yeah, I'm just as well inclined to say throw in him and Jalen and Quincy Olivari if I'm the Utah Jazz. I'm just inclined to say that if I'm whoever, the Wizards or something like that. So that's my attitude in regards to this conversation. I wake up this morning on Thanksgiving wondering if the Lakers are actually going to dangle Quincy Olivari, and hopefully they won't. Hopefully they see the fruit in creating a roster spot so we can play. And I like him as a player that has a really high upside, is a player who's going to provide a lot of charisma, good for TV, probably great in the locker room. I like him a lot, and I think he should have been utilized already. I think he might be a top 15 rookie in this year's draft if the Lakers, this year's class rather, if the Lakers were to actually use him like he's supposed to be used. I don't doubt he's as good as some of the people they drafted in the first round. I really believe that. And so, and given that he's shown so well in the preseason and in the G League, I think other people think that too. So I don't know, man. I think he's a hot commodity. I'm not trading him. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna say no. But if I'm in Rob's spot, I don't know that I'm not dangling him. You know what I mean? I don't know that if my job's on the line, whether or not I make a move, and somebody's demanding that this kid be a part of the trade so I can get back some stuff that I really think we could use, I don't know that I'm not dangling him. Given the fact that we're not calling him up, we do have him on this two-way contract. He probably can be gone at the end of the season or whatever if we don't find a way to get him on a roster spot. Team are going to try to poach him away from us for free any damn way. I wonder if the Lakers don't see him as a very nice, inexpensive piece to attach to some trash to make someone give us back something really good without giving up picks. So that's an evil in the situation that I really don't like, but it isn't something that I'm not able to see. That's basically what I'm telling y'all. As I think of it as a GM and I try to figure out how to keep picks out of the equation, these are the type of things that I imagine people are going to retort to me when I start talking about not wanting to give up picks. So, yeah, man, this is why with Jalen Hood-Schifino, I would be fine with them showcasing Jalen like they've been showcasing Gabe, even though Gabe, clearly is somebody they've paid $12 million, and it makes more sense in the grand scheme of things to try to move his contract and play him, try to focus on getting him out there to be seen as somebody someone wants. I think you probably do better doing that with Jalen, because at least with Jalen you give him some experience, he gets better, and then he could be looked at as a raw prospect someone can pick up. Right now he just looks at like a prospect that the Lakers don't want for some reason. We don't really know why, but we know he's coming off back surgery, so his value is extremely low, and if you're lucky if you're able to throw him in anything. But the Lakers, the way they've been using Gabe Vincent, if they just considered using Jalen that exact same way, for better or for worse, even if he doesn't look that great, it's not like he's going to bottom out any further. You know what I mean? He's not going to bottom out any further. He's a young player who's going to learn things. He's a 21-year-old kid. He's a sponge. So he's going to pick up a lot, and he's likely going to have a much higher ceiling than a guy like Gabe at this point. Even if he comes out there and makes mistakes and bumbles and fumbles, the more times he gets out there used to being a pro, the more comfortable he becomes in circumstances where otherwise he might not be very comfortable. And I just think that that's the way to use young players in this situation where you probably want to trade them and showcase them. You hope he doesn't get hurt if that's the risk. But you raise his trade value, and ultimately for a team that's trying to keep from having to throw in things they don't want to throw in, it's probably best to try to make the stuff that someone will want you to throw in, that you're willing to throw in, look a little better. So I just think the logic has escaped our franchise in that regard, and I think they need to snap out of that and get that kid on the floor. Give him 10 minutes a night. Like literally. You're already committed to moving on from him. You know he's not worth nothing right now. Worst thing that can happen is that he gets hurt, and now you can't throw him into a trade. Problem is, there's two problems there. One, if you can't throw him into the trade, you could lose him in free agency at the end of the season. And two, he's not worth anything anyway, in contrary to that. So it's like, if he does go down and you can't throw him in, it's not like he's making up so much of the difference in the trade any damn way. It's really not. So him being worth 2 pennies, it's like, oh my God, I have to remove 2 pennies from the trade. Whatever am I going to do? It's not a real thing. But it is a real thing that he could turn to $2 if you play him more. And he might have a nice little session of minutes from which people can study. I think that's a better way to showcase a player that you ultimately have committed to move on from, who's a young player, whose trajectory would inevitably get better just off the strength of the experience given with the minutes provided. So this is common sense to me, and I really think people are not doing common sense things right now, and I really wonder why that is. But when it comes to trying to move Jalen Hood-Schifino, the best way to do so is by making him attractive, so that someone would say, yo, he's a little better than throw in. That's literally it. So yeah, man, that's my attitude there. I think I don't know. I don't know. As I speculate, I think the Lakers may be afraid that if they put him out there and he starts looking really good, now they got to keep him, and they could lose him in free agency. That kind of thing. Like, fans will start wondering, yo, this dude really is good. Like, yeah, that's a real concern if you want people to think he's trash and that he should be frivolously tossed away. I just think that's a sour way to really handle your assets to begin with. If you draft a guy 17 overall, you probably should want him to succeed for the sake of you not looking like a complete idiot for drafting him. And at this point, based on how we're utilizing him, we're committing ourselves to looking as if there's no upside to this kid, when in actuality there probably is. So there's a team that needs a point guard down there, a backup point guard down there, or a third string point guard down there rather. I think we would be wise for utilizing that young player. And I look at a team like Philadelphia, who's devoid of young talent. They should want Jalen Hood-Schifino as their backup to McCain and Maxey. For what they got going on with Kyle Lowry, all the complaints I'm hearing on podcasts about the old guys on their roster, they need any young talent they can find. So if ever there was a GM who should actually be targeting a guy like Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's dirt cheap, it should be Daryl Morey. That's a whole nother story for an entirely different video. But like, Philadelphia is the team that if I were in their GM spot, I would be asking for Jalen Hood-Schifino every day. I would be calling the Lakers twice a day for Jalen. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, these are the type of things that just kind of float through my head as I continue to put myself in GM shoes. And as a Laker fan, I just think that we're committed to the idea that Jalen is no good does no service to the data that we're seeing of players going to other places, turning into something after we give up on them. That's what I think it does. I think it shows that as an organization we're neglecting to understand that we've already made this mistake several times over. Scottie Pippen should tell you right now that whoever's telling you that Jalen is trash probably needs to be out of the room. I think that. So yeah, man, I think hopefully JJ gets this video, man. That's who I need to hear. That's who I want to know opinion about this conversation. Are you so out on JJ that you would refuse to play him to this degree? I doubt it. I think it's an organizational decision to handle Jalen this way, and I just think there are too many factors in the Jalen conversation that would cater to why he's looked as bad as he's looked, and not enough opportunities to put him in positions to get comfortable, to really showcase what he could potentially become, and that everybody's out on him is alarming to me in a sense that I feel like I'm the only person who can kind of like see the regret coming in regards to that particular piece. And as I said, man, he might not be much better than a DJ Augustine or something like that, but still, you want to know. You want to know that before you let go of a kid, and I don't know that we've seen enough of him to know that. But I think people are acting as if they have, and that, I think, is more of the same type of aligned thinking that has ultimately pushed away so much young talent that's ultimately flourished in other places. So, that's what's on my mind on Thanksgiving Day. I don't know what y'all thinking about, but I'm thinking about that type of stuff. I just want our team to get better without having to make trades, and I do think that there's a lot of talent that we have not unlocked that's sitting on our roster right now. Traore is one of them. Quincy Olivari is another one. Max Lewis and Max Christie all need to be given opportunities to prove that they suck. Literally. If they don't prove nothing else, prove that they're absolute trash on a professional basketball floor. Then we can start utilizing them as trash as it pertains to our asset class, for which we've already locked them into any damn way. What's the worst thing that can happen? They continue staying this way or lose value? What's minus 0 from 0? Like, at this point, they don't have any value. And for all the opportunities we're giving players who've been struggling, I don't understand why we haven't seen the fruit in making it so that those players are showcased more. I don't get it. And I think that there's a lot of meat left on the bone as pertains to what we can maybe get out of our own assets before even moving them. So, yeah, I feel like I'm talking to a wall. I don't think people are really listening to that. I really don't, man. And it frustrates me because that's one of the most important things for a team, is to know what you have before moving it. So, yeah, man, that's my attitude, man. That's really what I got to say. I'm ready to eat. Not only this food, but Thanksgiving later on. So hopefully I have enough room for it. After this big bowl of oatmeal that I have in front of me, I'm going to go to a friend's house and see about taking over their meal table today. As I did last year, had a lot of fun, so I'm certain it'll be the same this year. But I hope you guys all enjoy your Thanksgiving, man. It's a big day. We never forget that people have had some tough times in order for us to celebrate this holiday. So we want to think about those who've had a lot taken from them in order for us to be so very thankful, and those who are suffering right now in that same vein elsewhere. As we sit back and consider all that we're thankful for, there are a lot of people who don't have as much. So that's pretty much what I have to say, man. My name is BDF44. I thank you all for watching.